He's ineligible for NBA awards since he is not going to meet the 65 game requirement,
Yep.
which we had a video on this a long time ago whenever they made this a thing last season, where you had to play a certain amount of games to make all NBA teams, all defensive teams, all star, whatever, all that good stuff, where Luka's going to pay the price. And obviously, these things have contract incentives. If you don't make an all NBA first team or one at all, sometimes you miss out on $3 million or you missed the big extension window, like we saw with John Morant, who was out all last season or the season before because he was suspended.
I think it wasn't. There was some other player too that missed out on was it Tyrese Halliburton maybe because he missed games. I don't know. I could be throwing any names out.
Either way, I know for sure John Morant missed out on 275 and had to settle for 220 instead. I mean, hey, $200 million.
Man, I can't believe he had to settle for 220.
Oh man,
what a poor son of a bitch. Oh man, no, but hey, I mean, $50 million difference is a $50 million difference, no matter what way you look at it. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like jump into this thing. I mean, it is unfortunate when you see star players miss as much time as someone like Luka because you don't want to see star players get hurt. Luka Doncic is an MVP candidate every single year. If he was healthy, the MVP conversation could be different right now. He could be included in the conversation, but I think, I get what the NBA is doing with the 65 game things. You're trying to make players play, right? That's the biggest thing. So, we've seen a lot of load management, guys sitting, and it's like now you're not incentivizing them, but basically threaten to take away their incentives by if you miss games, whatever. But then it's like you get instances where guys get hurt, and it's like they're not purposely sitting, right? And it's like, and then money gets involved and all these things. And it's like, that's where, I mean, I put myself in their shoes where it's like, man, John Morant's still making $220 million. I still envy him there. But like, if I'm in his shoes and it's like I'm out with an injury that I have obviously out of my control, I get punished for that. Now, if John Morant's like purposely sitting games and stuff, 1,000,000% take it away from him. But like, that's where I feel for the players, and I feel like I have some sort of sympathy there. I don't know. I feel like they need to tweak it a little bit where it's like maybe requirements for like, because I feel like the all NBA teams is I feel like where most like incentivized money can be made from. I mean, I could be wrong, but that is usually a big one. Like Tatum, I think had to make like 3 all NBA teams to like get to a certain max contract thing. Besides the point, I think there needs to be like, 65 game requirement to be in the reward race or 40 game requirement to be in the all NBA race. Like I think they need to divvy it up a little bit so it doesn't all apply. The 65 games doesn't apply to everything. That's just my opinion. I don't know, the little details and stuff, how they fix that. It can be a little complicated and stuff. Again, we're dealing with money here, and it is a big business, and the NBA wants to, they want to save as much money as they can if they can. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm curious what you think, if there is a way to change this or, reformat this, but it does suck that someone like Luka, does miss out on big paydays and stuff because of something that isn't necessarily in his control.
Yeah, I just had to pull up some of Luka's like accolades here because I was like, yo, I'm pretty sure every single season, maybe but his rookie year, he's made the All NBA first team, and I wasn't tripping.
Sure,
Outside of his rookie year,
I believe it. Mm-hmm.
Since 2020 to 2024, he's made the All NBA team 5 times, first team. Right. All NBA first team 5 times. And
it's like, and he's not going to make it this year, but like if you look at his stats at the end of the year, like he'll
deserve
definitely, 100%.
So like that's the piece that kind of bothers me. Like we don't know how many games he's going to end up playing this year, but I do think that instead of 65 games, you want guys to play, what is it? Half of 82 is 41. You want guys to play 15 or 14 more games. No, I'm doing that wrong. 24 more.
Yeah, 24 more games. Hey, listen, I'm not a mathematician. I wasn't going to correct you. I was just going to go with it.
But either way, you want them to play 24 more games in half to have that 65 game requirement. You know what? Right. For the sake of product, for the sake of marketing for your players, jersey sales, all this merch that they make off their guys, especially the top tier players, I get why you want them to play 65 or more games. And why you want them to play 70 plus if they can, if they're able. But obviously, the injury aspect of things is something that you can't plan for. You don't expect Joel Embiid, for instance, to still be out missing games at this point in the
Right.
season.
Yeah, 2 straight years of not being eligible for anything. But
After
it's like
winning
Embiid.
MVP.
Then we look at Embiid like at his career. It's like all NBA first team. It's like these 2 years, what happened here? But it's like last year he was averaging 35 before he got hurt. But it's like
Doesn't even matter.
we can't reward him for that, and it's like kind of gets lost in the history books in a way.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like the requirement shouldn't be 65 because again, that's a 24 game gap between like 50% of the season was played by you, and now you played 75% of the games or whatever the number is. Not sure, but either way, I think we should move that requirement down. Like 65 games is a little steep because you guys play 82 of them.
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
They can only miss 15 games.
It's just such a big toll on your body. And like then we can get into the argument of like maybe they should lessen the season total and stuff, which I'm against because it's always been 82 games. And I'm big like I don't want to change the history of it because then things like stats get different. If you bring it down to 72 games, there are certain records that can't be broken ever again.
Absolutely.
I don't like touching that.
You don't touch that. What you do, they should be able to take down the 65 game requirement to let's say 50. Or let's say 55.
Sure. I think 50 to 55, more than half, but you don't 65 is a lot.
You want me to play 24 more games and have the season? Like,
right? Yeah.
I don't think that's fair.
I think it hurt. I don't know. I think it also kind of hurts. Not the product, but just like I don't know. I think it can be just a negative look when you see these big name players missing out on these things. I don't know.
And I'm not one to be in a man's pockets. But I do know that if you give me $50 and Dante gets $100, damn, Dante got $50 more than me. Now, when you add a couple more zeros behind that, I'd miss out on $50 million if I'm John Morant.
I'm a lot more upset. Yeah.
I get it. It's a battle of attrition at the end of the day, but this is sports. Like people get hurt in the NFL at practice doing a 3-step drop.
Yeah.
And so playing basketball where we play both sides of the ball and I'm running up and down the floor constantly.
Always moving constantly, yeah.
I'm running, I'm jumping, dude, you know what? Anybody that happens to play 65 games or more, shout out to y'all. Kawhi Leonard did it last year, and I don't even know how.
I think Zion did it last year too.
Yeah. Shout out to those guys, man. Two injury-prone players that we've labeled them so far throughout their careers, and hey, they managed to hit that 65 game requirement. But a guy like Luka,
2 years in a row, but they did it.
A guy like Luka, again, looking at the All-NBA first-team stats, he's also finished top 10 in MVP voting every single year but his rookie season.
Yeah.
So, he's productive. He's one of the top 5 players when he's healthy. But now we're going to punish him. He's not going to be allowed to win anything because you missed.
And it's like we'll look back and be like, what happened this year? Did he just have an off year? It's like, no. We look at his stats. He definitely could have been in these conversations, but he just missed one too many games. He played 64 games of the season. Because of that, we can't. That's going to happen one day where a player's going to have a big name player is going to play 64 games, and it is going to be an outrage when that happens. People already get upset about players missing time and whatever, but
you know what?
When that happens, it is going to be woo.
I also just thought about that this 65 game rule requirement had to go through the owners and they had to stamp their approval on it because this protects their investments.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah, I mean, the owners are the ones that have to pay out those big extensions and those big contracts.
So, you guys, y'all not playing 65 games. I get to keep my $50 million.
Could you imagine if, fucking knock on wood, but, SGA gets to game 64 and then gets an injury out for the rest of the regular season? Well, that's bullshit. And that would be NBA would go scorched, or fans would go scorched earth on the NBA. That would just be insane.
You know what? If that was the case, I know he'd be hurt, but I'd play him the first at the tip.
Oh, put him tip off.
Intentional foul? Get him out.
Get him right out of the game. He could be in a walking boot, and I'm getting him out there. 1,000%. Mm-hmm.
If that's the font, you see it in the NFL, right? Where this tight
guys
end
getting their incentives
2 catches.
Mm-hmm.
They do 2 catches. I am going to have a tight end screen. That's not even a real play. Like,
Mike Evans needed a few yards for 1,000. They fucking were getting any chance they could to get him. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, that's like a team would have to do something like that. They, would be forced to do something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It is still a fairly new thing. So, they can still change it. They can always, redo it. But I don't know. I think there needs to be an instance of what I just mentioned for them to actually go and do something about it.
There's going to be a year that, I don't wish it, knock on wood, I'm not wishing this upon the NBA, but all your major stars might be injured.
There's going to be a year where the NBA first team is going to look very weird and people are going to be like, what the fuck happened this year?
why is Jonas Valanciunas on the all NBA second team?
1,000%. Well, how did CJ McCollum make the all NBA first team this year? Yeah, it could happen. So again, I don't know if they'll change it. I hope they do, because the 65 rule requirement is there's some things wrong with it. There are some holes in it.